Good morning, guys. Today it's Sunday morning, and it's been so long since I sat down and spoke to the camera. So I just decided it was time to do an updated video on what's going on in mine and Amberly's life. So if you don't know me, my name is Andrea, and I have a 16-month-old toddler. And yeah, I share some of my life on the internet to try and help other moms. So if you like that kind of content, remember to subscribe to my channel. Today I want to share with you one of my biggest updates that's happened lately in my life, which is the fact that I stopped breastfeeding Amberly. And this is definitely one of the biggest changes for me and her since she's been born. Honestly, I feel like it's the biggest change we had to make, and it was also the most emotional one and hardest one to get my head around and navigate. So I'm looking forward to sharing all of these things with you today, because I hope I can help some of you that might struggle like I did. And yeah, I just want to share it all with you. So to start from the beginning, why I wanted to stop breastfeeding is because we got to a point where Amberly was coming into my bed at night because she was waking up in her crib. She didn't want anything or anyone. She just wanted to come next to me and breastfeed, and then that was the only thing that was like sending her back to sleep. And I didn't mind, because I mean, most of the night she was sleeping in her crib. Some nights she was even sleeping the whole night in her crib. But when she was having a hard time, maybe with teething or something was going on in her life, she would need the extra comfort and come into my bed. So that was the arrangement for a couple of months. But then lately, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, she started waking up in her bed, not wanting to go back to sleep until she was breastfed back to sleep. And then she got to the point where she would breastfeed, but then she'd be completely awake and she wouldn't go back to sleep. She was mostly like playing with my breasts. She wasn't even breastfeeding. She was biting and like more slapping me and like pulling my hair. And yeah, she was just acting up, and to the point where she was actually staying awake and not going back to sleep. And if some nights I managed to get her back to sleep, I myself at that point was too frustrated and angry to be able to go back to sleep. So it's been a very hard time. And one day I had such a bad night, I ended up crying in bed at 4 o'clock in the morning by myself, because she was so bad. And I fell asleep. She was asleep next to me, but I was just sat there and crying. And I just said to myself, I'm done. And I knew it was the right time for me and her, and I knew that this was the end of our journey. I knew I couldn't do it anymore, and it was affecting me. And I started to like, yeah, be very tired and very frustrated with her, and it wasn't good for us at all. For our relationship, it was tough. So I decided it was time for us to make a decision, and we just had to navigate how to do it. So she wasn't breastfeeding during the day anymore, which was good because it meant that I didn't have to slowly go back to, go down to like a couple of feeds, because I was scared of having mastitis or a clogged duct and stuff like that. So thankfully for me, she was already down to only breastfeeding at night once or maybe twice. So I didn't have the problem of having to go down to one feed. But if you're feeding your baby during the day or just a lot of times, you have to allow your body to go down to one feed or maybe two feeds, because before you stop cold turkey. So I luckily was already down to that, and I didn't have to wait. So as soon as that happened, I said, I'm done. And I said to Connor, it's time. Tonight I'm not gonna be breastfeeding. You're gonna have to be the one that goes in there, and you're gonna have to be the one that sends her back to sleep, because if I go, then she would want to feed. Honestly, it's not been easy at all. Our first week, so for the first week, I told him he had to be the person going in, because as I said, if I go in, then she would play up, and not play up, but you know, she would want my comfort. She would want me. And for me, during the night when I'm tired, to say no, especially because it's so emotional to say no to your baby, and it's so hard to make that decision. I just knew that I would probably give in. So I said, it can't be me. I had to ask my partner to help me. And if you have a partner that is willing to do that, guys, it's gonna make so much of a difference. Like, honestly, having him being so helpful, emotionally being there for me, and you know, practically, you know, doing the nights. So yeah, if you have a partner, definitely ask them for help, because you can't do it by yourself. I mean, you can do it by yourself, but if you have someone that can help you, 100% it's worth asking them for help, because it can make a difference. So he was going in for the first week, resettling her to sleep. The first couple of nights were hard. I had to stay in bed, and I could see the baby monitor, and I could see him like trying to rock her, trying to just pat her back. It was so frustrating for me not to be able to do anything, and I could hear her crying, and you know, not crying when he was holding her or when he was in there, but as soon as he left the room, she would then cry, and I felt bad because I couldn't go in and help either him or her. So it felt for me like I was left a bit in the background, and I had to just sit there and listen to, you know, it is hard. It's so hard. I tell you, it's hard not to be able to intervene. But I did it for a whole week, and I tell you what, the week after, like the Monday, the Sunday night, so as soon as it was a whole week, that Sunday night, after a whole week of doing that, we were both so tired, destroyed, and Amberly slept through from 7 until 7 in the morning. Sorry, half 7 in the morning. So she slept 12 and a half hours, and it gave us the best sleep of our life. Until then, it didn't really happen too many times that she slept through the night. I mean, as a full 12 hours. And we had the best sleep of our life. And then after that, there was no looking back. We knew we were doing the right thing. My body was starting to adjust. So, you know, I could see the milk was going down massively. I could see that I was losing it. And it was so tough when I was going for a shower at night, and I could see everything changing in my body, and I could see maybe like some milk coming out and me not being able to give it to my baby, knowing how good it is for them. It was such an emotional journey. But when we, the second week, got our sleep back, and she then actually started sleeping, you know, a whole night, I didn't question myself. I knew that she needed it as much as we needed it, and it was the right time for us as a family to make that change. So there was no looking back. There was just a lot of emotions going on, but not bad emotions, because I knew I was doing the right thing. I mean, even when I think about it now, it's so emotional. I don't tend to think about the fact that I stopped breastfeeding during the day. Like, I just keep myself busy all the time, because when I do come across the fact that I'm not feeding my baby anymore, it does still hurt. It's still there, like the feeling of, you know, not being able to do that. But we are trying to focus on our relationship, and how, like, both me and Emily are trying to navigate our relationship now, and try to understand how our relationship works without breastfeeding. You know, instead of breastfeeding, there is hugs, and there is more talking and more interacting, a lot more cuddles and different type of cuddles. And you know, it's nice to explore this next stage of our relationship. And it's been tough to leave the other one behind, but we're looking forward. As I said, for my body to adapt, it took about a week, but I think I completely stopped producing milk after 2 weeks. So it took about 2 weeks for my body to stop producing milk for Emily. For Amberly to actually not ask for breastfeeding during the day, because she would have hard days, or like she would be a bit, ill because she had a cold and stuff, and she would probably want that comfort. I think it took between 2 and 3 weeks for her to adapt to the fact that there was no more milk at all. So for the nights, she adapted in a week, but for her to actually not ask for breastfeeding, it probably took about 2.5 weeks, I would say. She would ask every now and then to breastfeed, and it was hard to say no. But now it's been about 3.5 weeks, and she doesn't ask anymore. I can get changed in front of her, and she looks at me and she can see my breast, but she doesn't have a reaction to it yet, like at all. And yeah, so she adapted quite quickly, I think, to the nights, but I think it took her a bit longer just to understand that there was no more milk at all. Yeah, we're now both doing fine. It was, as I said, hard emotionally, but we are now just getting used to our new way of doing things, and my body is now adapted fully. Her body, I think, has adapted fully, and she's eating so much more. By the way, one of the changes I've noticed in her behavior is just asking for food 24/7. She's literally, I mean, I know toddlers snack, but she's literally snacking 24/7, drinking 24/7. And I know my breast milk was giving her some of the vitamins and stuff that she needed, but I didn't realize how much of a big impact that can be for her. So yeah, she's now eating and drinking all day constantly. I think her body's like trying to catch up, or maybe she's just going through a growth spurt. I'm not sure, but that's one of the changes I've noticed since stopping breastfeeding. There is that, and there's also the fact that I thought because I stopped breastfeeding her, she would give 50-50 attention to me and Connor. That hasn't quite happened yet. I think she still comes to me a lot more, like 90% of the time. She comes to me for comfort still, and I'm so happy with that. I just thought it was gonna go down, and I was scared that she was just gonna think, well, my mom can't breastfeed me anymore, so now I don't need you, kind of thing. I felt like she wasn't gonna need me anymore, but she still does need me, and it's nice to see that she still comes for me. That she still looks for me and comes to me for help. So yeah, I had to adapt to all of these things. And guys, when I looked into the changes that your hormones go through when you stop breastfeeding, it's crazy. It is almost like a postpartum, hormone crazy dip and stuff. Because you're producing so many like happy hormones when you're breastfeeding, just to keep that bond going, and your body's just trying to get you to not stop. That you're so happy about it all the time, and you're so attached to breastfeeding that when you stop, I think there is a lot of things that change in our hormones that make us a bit more depressed and down. I think I was very down. I was seeing everything dark for a couple of weeks. I could not see a way forward in life in general. Like, I just saw everything being horrible. I didn't like my job, I didn't like my house, I didn't want to do anything. I'm out of it now, I'm fine, but I think that first week and a half to adapt emotionally, there was a lot of change going on in my body, and I was very sad all the time. So yes, it's been a journey. It lasted 16 months, and I think 16 months is a lot more than I was expecting to be able to do it for. If I have a second baby, I would definitely breastfeed again. I'm not sure if it's going to be for this long or not, but I just want to tell you that my journey with Emily from that point of view is now ended, and I'm just looking forward to see what's going to happen next. If you're also, trying to stop breastfeeding your baby and have any questions, you can ask me in the comments. I'll be more than happy to help and share even more information to try and help other people and tell you guys like exactly what happened to us, to try and help. So yeah, if you have any questions about it, ask about it in the comments. If you like the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, because I'm looking forward to sharing a lot more with you, and yeah, to just build a new community. So yeah, I will see you in the next video, and thank you so much for watching.